Hi, my name's George Bullock, and I'm Senior Product Marketing Manager for Microsoft Project. And I, like everybody on the project team, is really excited to be here at our Reimagine Project Management with Microsoft conference. In this session, we're going to talk about the Microsoft Project Accelerator solution and how you can leverage it with the power of the Power Platform to really go the last mile with your project management solutions. Here's our agenda. First, I'm going to go through, I have about 350 slides. No, I don't. We're going to start by just setting our goals. I'm going to give you a brief overview of what the Project Accelerator solution is, and then we're going to go into a deep demo. And then at the end, I'll make sure you understand what your next action should be. Let's start by setting our goals. First, I want you to experience the potential of Microsoft Project for the Web and the Project Accelerator solution. And I want you to understand the value of the Power Platform applied to Microsoft Project for the Web and what kind of customizations and solutions this allows you to build. And finally, I want you to understand when and how you can get the Project Accelerator solution. Microsoft Project for the Web leverages the Power Platform along with the Microsoft Dataverse to bring you a simple and powerful application that supports project and program management best practices on the Microsoft platform. Now, the Microsoft Power Platform is a business app platform that helps support and extend Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, and Azure, as well as third-party services and applications. It includes the ability to analyze data through Power BI, to quickly act on building apps through Power Apps, and to automate tasks through Power Automate. Now, let me tell you a bit about the Project Accelerator solution. The Microsoft Project Accelerator solution is an example of how you can use the Power Platform together with Project for the Web to address your project and program management needs. We're going to walk through the Project Accelerator solution, and I'm going to talk about how it is a starting point for a solution that you can use to manage your projects and programs. We're going to talk about some of the ways you could extend it and what comes out of the box. I'm going to talk about the tables and custom fields that are part of project native entities, as well as the custom entities we've added, and also talk to you about how you can add your own entities. I'm going to show you the user experiences we've provided for managing these entities and how you can add more to them and evolve them to meet your needs. Now let's get right to the demo. Now, as you can see, I'm at my homepage for Office. And one of the nice things we've done with Power Platform is, of course I can get to all my Office apps here, but I can also get to all my Power Apps. And so we're going to go into the Project Power App. And we're going to start with this home dashboard. Now, this dashboard gives your organization a starting point to see data across your projects and resources. And it utilizes all of the Project for the Web data that's in the Microsoft Dataverse. Now, this is out of the box with the Project Accelerator solution, and there's no code involved. But of course, you could edit some of these tiles, or you could even add your own. And of course, since these are Power BI visuals, I can expand them out and get all the kind of click through and drill down that I expect. And so here I have a financial summary, and this is across all the projects in my portfolio. And I also have a good look at my active project requests, and we'll be talking about those as we go forward. Program health, active project requests, an overall summary of projects by business unit, and overall program health. And again, we'll be getting into projects, programs, and project requests as we go forward. Now let's talk about project requests. The Project Accelerator solution includes a module that allows for the capture of project requests and ideas, their initial development with a business case, their analysis against strategic and financial goals, and their eventual promotion to projects through a Power Automate workflow. When the request is promoted as a project, a new project will be created in Project for the Web, and then the team will be able to start working on that project. The original project request and the new project will be listed separately in the project requests and the project listings. So, of course, it would be only apropos if we start by taking a look at this Ship the Accelerator project request. So let's open this up. Now, let me talk briefly about what you're seeing here. This is a custom table that we've added to the Power Platform called Project Request. And we've added a bunch of fields to it that we think are important for tracking incoming demand. But you could change these fields, you could add your own fields, and we'll talk about this as I go through. You see, of course, I have name, owner, requested by, and executive sponsor. And one thing I want to show you here is let's go ahead and add the requested by. And you see, I'm going to start typing for search. And I'm actually seeing Nancy here, and the reason I'm seeing her is because she is a user in our Active Directory. So for the Project Accelerator solution and for Project for the Web, there's no need to build a separate enterprise resource pool. You have access to your Active Directory. So let's go ahead and add Nancy back as the requested by. We also have a request state. And you can see we've added some values here, but you could update these values or keep using them. We also have a priority, and of course, most people will set it to critical, but hopefully you'll do the training so they actually are reasonable here. We have a project type as well, so people can tell the review board or whoever is reviewing these requests what type of request this is. And we can also set an executive sponsor. Now, we've also provided some fields so people can capture the narrative of why this project request is important. So you can see details here in the overall business case. Now, as well, we've provided, so this is maybe the qualitative reason for this project request, but we've also provided fields that are quantitative. So strategic alignment, whether or not this project request is expected to lower costs, improve employee retention, what the risk of this is. We can set a budget and a realization, and you see I'm at Bitcoin levels of benefit here because I'm expecting to spend $150,000 to get $2 million, and then hopefully I won't lose my password in a garbage dump in London. Whether or not funding is available, and what the funding source here is. So now, what you're going to find is, of course, my project requests are of extreme strategic alignment. So let's see what happens here to our prioritization score if I go ahead and save that change. And you'll see that my prioritization score has gone up, and that's because this is an example of a calculated field that we can use in the Project Accelerator. And then I can get to other related data about this project request, but the last thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to change the in review to approved. And what's happened here, and I'm not going to show you this, but when I first create this project request, it's going to kick off a Power Automate flow that will send emails or Teams notifications to the approvers who need to approve this project request. And once they've gone and submitted their approval, and they can add notes to that, that will set this to approved. And what's going to happen now is a Power Automate flow is going to be kicked off that will actually create a project in Project for the Web for this project request. Now that will be linked to the project request, and in fact, some of the data in the project request will be shown as part of the project, and we'll get to that as we go forward. Now let's talk about programs. The Project Accelerator solution includes a module that allows for the capture of programs, their initial development with a business case, and their analysis against strategic and financial goals. Programs can also be connected to existing projects and have their financial and status values compared to the connected project roll-up values. So you will get roll-up data into the program from the underlying projects, and I'll show you how all that works. Now, a program, of course, is a collection of projects that map to a goal we want to achieve. It might be a collection of projects that you want to manage together because, say, they have a lot of technical dependency, or even a collection of projects that need to be completed together to achieve value. But again, if you're managing more at the budgeted portfolio level, you could use programs for those portfolios or even rename the table here. So what we've done is we've added a table to the Power Platform called Program. We've added fields to it that you'll be seeing, custom fields, but you also could add your own fields to this table, change some of the fields we have, and once I get into it, we'll see what that looks like. Here we are in the program view, and this is a Power Platform view, and it's listing my different programs. Here I'm seeing active programs, but I could also choose a different view. For example, here's one that shows much more of the data about program costs and benefits. And I can also group them. So let's group these by financial health, and there I can quickly see which projects are on track and off track. And I have many more possibilities here. Now, we've provided these out of the box for you, but you could also go in and build your own groupings and your own views in this view. Now let's jump into a program. So as we said, a program is a collection of projects. And so here's one called Customer Growth, and let's take a look at what that looks like. Now, one thing you can see here is we have a lot of data about the program itself. We have a name, we have the state the program's in, very much like the request state. We have its priority. Of course, this one's critical, but we'll leave it at moderate for now. Which business unit owns the program? An owner, a manager, program type, program goals. Now, these are fields we've provided out of the box with the Accelerator solution, but of course, you could add your own fields and you could change things like the values in the drop-down boxes. That's all up to you. Our goal, again, is to provide for you a starting point to meet your key project management needs. Now, another thing you see here is I have the ability to set an overall program start and due date. And these dates are separate from the dates of the underlying projects. We'll talk more about that. And I also have the ability to add a description and a business case, just like I did with the project request. Let's move on to financials. So you see here, I can set a budget for my program and a benefit, and then I'll actually see the return on investment. So let's crank up the benefit a little bit here. And once I save that, what you'll see is my ROI is now an eye-popping 120%. And here's my remaining budget allocation. Now note that the remaining budget allocation, just like ROI, is a calculated field and it's based on the budget that's been used so far in the underlying projects. And then here you see roll-ups from the underlying projects, and this is based on the actual data that's being captured and tracked in the project. So we have the project budget, the actual cost of the overall projects, budget remaining, project benefits, and the project ROI based on the individual projects. Now in here, I can manage the status at the program level, not at the project level. So in a meeting with the project managers, I as the program manager could change the overall health, the financial health, the effort health, and the schedule health. However, because we're built on the Power Platform here, another thing I could do is I could build a Power Automate flow or business process that would look for certain triggers in the underlying projects and automatically set these fields or change them as things change in the projects. And of course, as you also see here, I have roll-up data about my projects. And let's get into the projects. So what you can see here is I have 3 projects that are part of this program. And what I'm going to quickly do is I'm going to jump to notes, show you notes, and then we're really going to drill into how the projects tab works. You can see here I have the ability to quickly create notes, and I've created one here, so I can have a running timeline of things that are important to this program that I've captured. So now let's get back to projects. As you see, 3 of the projects in Project for the Web have been added to this program. And the way we do that is, for one thing, we can choose an existing project and add it to this program, which is what I did with these 3. But another way that I can add a project to this program is to go ahead and create a new project. And now you see the power of what we've added to the project table in the Project Accelerator solution. And we could go ahead and fill out this project, but what we're going to do is we're going to start with an existing project, and we're really going to drill in and see the power of the different fields here and how Project for the Web is right inside the Accelerator solution, so you can use it to manage the project or pop out into the native Project for the Web application. So here we are, we're back in the list of projects, and what we're going to do now is we're going to switch to our project listing. Now, I don't have any active projects right now because I'm the boss, so I don't do work, but we do have a lot of projects in this system, and here they are for you. Now, again, this is what we call a Power Platform view, and it allows me to see a view of a listing of data in one or more tables in the Power Platform. And as I showed you with project requests and programs, I have a lot of different views I can look at. I can look at these and see more of the fields about effort. I can see more of the fields about prioritization. Let's go back to the All Projects view. Now let's dive in and look at one of these projects in depth. We'll look at the Customer Service Ramp-Up project. So here I've selected it, and I'm going to go ahead and edit it. And as you can see, I have a lot of different tabs here that I can look at, and I have a lot of metadata about this project. Let's talk about this metadata for a minute. Some of these are native fields, because what we're looking at here is the native project table, and that's where all the projects in Project for the Web are stored. But for the Project Accelerator solution, we've added a lot of custom fields here, and we'll talk about those as we go. But also, I am seeing the native fields, things like name, estimated start date, finish date. These are, of course, calculated fields for duration and percent complete. I have my calculated fields for effort. And I have owner, which is a native field, but I also have other fields we've added, for example, project type, which is a drop-down, the program to which this project is associated. So one of the things I can do here is if I have a project and I want to associate it with an existing program, I can do that right here. We also have business unit, we have a stage, priority. Now, another thing we could do if we wanted is add an executive sponsor and a manager. You can see Jeremy is the project manager. We also have a calendar template, and as you'll see in other demos that we do, this allows you to associate a standard working calendar or a specific working calendar to this project. And finally, whether or not funding is available. And as a project is created from a project request, some of this data will come in from the project request where we've already captured it. That goes as well for the business case. So we've added some custom fields here, and some of these will be populated directly from the project request, such as description, business case, value statement, and prioritization. So a lot of this comes in from the project request. Now, of course, these are the fields we're providing out of the box with the Project Accelerator solution, but you can change them, you can add your own fields, whatever you need to do. Now let's get into financials a bit. Here we're getting really a lot of good data about the project budget. I can set the budget, I can set the actual budget, a forecast, the actual cost of the project, remaining budget. You see we're over budget already, so this is a normal project. The project variance, and then the benefits here. And again, these could come in from the project request if necessary. The return on investment. This is a straightforward, I think that's 100% there. Good return. Whether funding is available, the funding source. Now we also have a tab for team, and this shows all the team members that are part of this project. And they are actually bookable resources in the system, and that gives us a lot of power and flexibility in terms of tracking their effort completed, and even their effort across multiple projects. And we'll see that when we get into the reports. Now, I'm also going to show you very briefly risks. We don't have any risks on the project yet. Issues and changes. And I want to talk briefly about what we've done here. We've added 3 custom tables to project for risks, issues, and changes. And that means that for each project, the team can capture risks, issues, and changes. And as you'll see when we get to reporting, I can then report across all of the risks, all of the issues, all of the changes in all the projects in the system. We also have a nice status tab here where we can come in and we can capture some overall project status in a team meeting, or I, as the project manager, can do that on my own. We see what's going on with risks, issues, and changes. And also, I have the ability to go ahead and create a status report and send it out to whoever needs to keep up with status of this project. Now, we're really going to get into kind of the heart of the matter here, and that's tasks. So if you've seen any of our Project for the Web demos yet, either in this event or conference, or in other demos, or if you've used it yourself, what you're seeing here is the Project for the Web experience. And really, all the power of that experience that you've seen already. We're seeing our grid, we're seeing all the fields. We can go ahead and add custom fields like this. We can choose to show other fields here. percent complete, for example. And we have our board view available, which you've seen in other Project for the Web demos, and our timeline. And of course, the timeline is a true Gantt chart. One of the things I want to point out here is that Project for the Web is built on the Microsoft Project scheduling engine. And we've been working on the scheduling engine for the last 35 years. It's kind of the crown jewel of the system. So when we reimagine Project as Project for the Web, rather than rebuild that scheduling engine from the ground up, we simply made it into a cloud service, and Project for the Web is built on it. Now, one more thing I want to show you about projects is, we have this very powerful experience here with all the custom fields shown that we've added. You can add your own custom fields. But another thing I can do is I can just pop out to the native Project for the Web experience if I really just want to focus on the project and the custom fields I've added to the tasks, and really just get in and manage the project in this full screen view. So either of these views, it's the same data, it's the same project, and whichever one makes the most sense for me, I'm free to use. Now, this is all great. Hopefully you've seen how much power we've given you to customize and to manage your projects and programs and project requests inside the Accelerator solution, as well as pop out to the native experience. But any project management system worth its salt is all about the data and the reporting. So let's get in and look at that. Okay, so let's dive into these reports. Now, Project for the Web already provides a bunch of out-of-the-box reports, and I'm going to show you those here. But we've also added a number of reports specifically tuned to the Project Accelerator solution. Starts with our requests dashboard. So here you can see the projects requests we have in the system, the estimated cost overall, benefits, looking at a pretty good ROI there. Let's get to work. Strategic alignment scores, and a prioritization matrix. So everything you need to really take a look into these requests and keep track of what's going on with incoming demand. Of course, I can drill in and look at any individual request as well. Now, going along to programs. Here, I get a nice view of the overall health of all the programs in the system. So overall health, schedule health, financial health, and issue health. And this is based on that data I showed you that's being managed within each program by the program manager, and some from the underlying projects as well. And once again, I can drill into any individual program right here. Program financials. This is a great look at what's going on with our overall program budgets, the project budgets within them, the budget remaining on all the projects in the programs. I get a great chart here about the budget, overall look here. And then this is a great look at the allocation, this is budget versus actuals. And once again, I can drill into any of my individual programs here. Now, we've talked about programs, but now we're going to jump up one level to portfolios. In this case, portfolios represent all of the projects in the system. But you could, of course, add a portfolio table or even just a field to the programs so that you could break programs and projects into individual portfolios and then have a filter up here for those portfolios. What I'll show you a bit is how we can drill into individual programs here. But you see, this is the health of all of the projects in my system. And then I have a list here of all the projects, and of course I can double click into any of those projects. But I can also do things, I can go in and I can take a look at any one of our project managers. Lydia's incredibly overworked here, as most project managers are. I can also drill in and look at only active projects. And even programs. So I have 4 programs here, and I can go ahead and filter the report by those programs. We also have a dashboard very similar to our program dashboard. This is for all the projects in the system. All of them are in progress right now, and we have effort and effort remaining for each project, and then the overall effort and effort remaining by project manager. And then here's all the projects here. And one of the things you see is I have really great data about details of the project, like overall, where's the progress of that project based on the tasks, what's going on with effort. This project obviously has the most effort, which project has the most overdue tasks, and so on. And this is all, of course, powered by data that's in Project for the Web and the power of Power BI. We also have a nice look at portfolio financials. And one of the nice things here is by stage, I don't know if you remember, but we showed you that stage field we have on each project, where we can see by stage how much budget is involved in each stage right now. Another thing we have is a nice portfolio timeline, which simply shows you all the projects in time as a single bar, including effort and effort remaining. Now, another capability you want to look at is our project roadmap, which gets into a more active view of individual projects side by side across Project for the Web, Project Online, and even Azure boards. Now, we have a report for project milestones, but I want to make sure to get to a lot of the other reports. We have a risk dashboard, issues dashboard, and changes dashboard. I want to briefly show you those. You see, here we get to look at all the open risks and cost exposure and a prioritization matrix. And these are risks across all of the projects. So we've added this risks table to the system. Each project manager can add risks for their project, but then we get this reporting across all those risks. We get the same for issues and changes. But what I want to get into now is really how much you can look at resources. So here's our resource dashboard, and we have 11 resources across all our projects. We can start looking at the tasks overall. We can see resource tasks by project, who is working on what tasks. We can go over here, and for all of our resources, we can see effort completed and effort remaining. We get a great view of tasks by status, and we can also drill into resources by project. So here we can see this project, the Employee Benefits Review, has 3 resources on it, and we can see where they are in the project. So again, this is across all the projects in the system. Of course, we could add a filter here and filter by program, and we can also go in and filter in on individual resources. Now, here's another deep dive into resources and their assignments. So here, kind of the high order bit is the resource. And so we can drill into any of these people and see which projects they're working on and all the tasks that they're assigned to in those projects. Even if, let's see if, I think Lydia, of course, is overworked and she has multiple projects. So I really get the chance to deep dive into what's going on with my resources across individual projects and tasks. And then at the project level as well. And once again, I can drill into any project and see the resources associated with that project, effort completed and remaining by project manager. So really a good deep dive on our resources here. We have a nice tasks overview where we're focused more on the tasks completed, future tasks, et cetera, et cetera. And like that portfolio timeline, I also have a project timeline where I'm seeing individual projects and I'm seeing them, I can see them as a bar across time, but I also drill in and get kind of the same as the Gantt chart review for any of these individual projects. Now finally, if I want to drill into my work, and let's say I'm Lydia, I have this view where I can really get in and see what's happening with the projects I'm managing. Obviously, I'm managing far too many, the tasks that are assigned to me, and so on. And I can even drill in to individual projects. And finally, my timeline. So this is projects associated only with me, if I'm Lydia, and I can see the projects and tasks across time. So that's a bit of a whirlwind through our reports, and I encourage you to drill into the Accelerator solution. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about our plans for releasing the Accelerator solution to you. All right. So hopefully out of this demo, you've seen the power of Project for the Web, coupled with the Power Platform and the Microsoft Project Accelerator solution, which we're providing to you both as an out-of-box solution and as a starting point for the customizations and innovations you want to do to meet your core project management needs. And we have a simple next step here. Run, don't walk, to aka.ms/Project Accelerator and download it today. It is a Power App solution that can be deployed into any Power Platform environment that supports Project for the Web, whether it's your default environment, whether it's your production or test environments, any environments you have. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this session, and thanks for being part of our event.